All right, master and detail. Okay, our story needs more heroes. We'll expand on Tour of Heroes app to display a list of heroes. Allow the user to select the hero and display the hero's details. So run the live example. According to Terrible Dev, I believe it emits events into Angular's event system that signals changes to things listening to the models. That makes sense. This triggers the change event to update other properties that are bound. So that makes sense to me. So where we left off before we continue with part 2. Oh, we were supposed to go open this live example. Okay. So here we have a list of heroes. Clicking on them seems to open a view to modify. So these are two-way binded to here. Probably this is ng model as well. Cool. Okay. Before we continue with part 2, let's verify we have the following structure. If not, we'll need to go back to part 1 and figure out what we missed. Well, we have a component, we have a module, we have our main TS, that should already be there. Yeah, there. We have our index file, we have our styles, we have our TS config, we have our ng modules, and our package JSON. Yeah. We want to start, oh, I guess it's kind of assuming that a person came to this on another day and didn't have this running from the previous steps, but we do have it running. Okay, this will keep the application running, yeah. So if we look at our terminal, it's still running, still watching. Let's create an array of 10 heroes in the app component TS. Okay, we're going to create a constant heroes. Where does that go? Maybe up here? Doesn't say, so I'm just going to type it out and we can move it after. Const, all in uppercase, heroes. Not sure why it's all uppercase. It's of type hero, and that's an array. And we're pre-filling that array with some properties. So the first property is ID. $11. Okay, maybe I don't want to type all this out. I'll do a couple. Nice. So I can just duplicate this, modify it. Okay, I get the idea. I went through the motions. I'm just going to copy and paste now. Done. So we have an ID, we have a name, we have 2 properties for each element of the array. Done. The heroes array is of type hero, the class defined in part 1. So part 1, we created this class. Yeah, it has 2 properties. So this array is of that type. Good. We aspire to fetch this list of heroes from a web service, but let's take small steps first and display mock heroes. Exposing heroes. Let's create a public property in app component. Okay, so heroes equals heroes. Let's create a public property in app component that exposes heroes for binding. Okay, I'll just type it. Heroes equals heroes. Now I think this probably has to be after. Maybe over here? No. What are we trying to do here? Now that we've defined constant heroes, I have a typo. That's what here. No, that's not a typo. What's it complaining about? Cannot find heroes. So what's going on here? We did not have to define the heroes type. TypeScript can infer it from the heroes array. Well, that's heroes type array. We could have defined the heroes list here in this component class, but we know it should be inside the class. Okay, so let's cut it out. Put it in the class. Which one? This class here. Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense. Or is it this class? Heroes. Let's try that. Oh, that's right. It told us earlier here, we're talking about the app component. Let's create a public property of app component. And that's this app component here. So this has to be public. Which I thought you had to do something like this to make it public, but I guess you just do that. It's default public. Okay, we're back on track. Thanks, W. Mardini. Okay, where was I? Okay, displaying heroes in a template. Our component has heroes. Let's create an unordered list in our template to display them. We'll insert the following chunk of HTML below the title and above the hero details. So that's in the template. We have H2. Wait, is this more? Wait, this is below the title, above the hero details. Okay. H2, my heroes. We have an unordered list. Class heroes. Each hero goes here. I don't need to type that. All right. And then we close it. Now we have a template that we can fill with our heroes. Listing heroes with ng4. We want to bind the array of heroes in our component to our template and iterate over them and display them individually. We'll need some help from Angular to do this, so let's do this step by step. First, modify the li, this guy here, tag by adding the built-in directive star or asterisk ng4. So we put that here, ng4 equals, and we put in let hero of heroes. So we're going to iterate through our heroes object, and each iteration will be this hero. The leading asterisk in front of ng4 is critical for this syntax. The star prefix indicates that the li element and its children constitute a master template. The ng4 directive iterates over the heroes array, returned by the app component heroes property. So that's app heroes property, this guy, and stamps out instances of this template. The quoted text assigned to ng4 means take each hero in the heroes array, store it in the local hero variable, and make it available to the corresponding template instance. The let keyword before hero defines hero as a template input variable, We can reference this variable within the template to access a hero's properties. And we can learn more about that later. So now we insert some content between the li tags. I use the hero template variable to display the hero's properties. So we need to add this span here, inside here. Class badge, hero.id property, span hero.name. Okay. When the browser refreshes, save, reload. So we got our array up here, filling this little ng4 loop. So if I modify this guy, this should reload. Perfect. Cool. It's working. Our list of heroes looks pretty bland. We want to make it visually obvious to a user which hero we are hovering over and which hero is selected. Let's add some styles to our component by setting the styles property in the @component decorator. So in here, @component. Oh, you know what? I just realized my camera is covering the code. Maybe I'll move this camera. All right, so let's add some styles to our component by setting the styles property. Okay, so inside, we don't have a styles property, so we're going to add one after template. Styles. This is a lot of styles to type out again. Oh, I gotta add this little backtick. Okay. Multi-line. Okay. So I'm not going to type all this out because it's just standard CSS. There's nothing to be learned by typing that out, unless you don't know CSS. Okay. So let's see. Notice how we use the backtick notation for multi-line strings. So I did do that. I should probably indent this. This looks a little messy. It's a little better. Okay. That's a lot of styles. We can put them in line as shown here, or we can move them out of their own file, which will make it easier to code our component. See, I don't understand why I would put my CSS into this component, because then these styles can't be used anywhere else in the web app. But I guess these are really tied to this component, so I guess you wouldn't use them again. Okay, so yeah, if these are really directly tied to this specific component, you would put it here. I'm just used to having everything inside of a big styles.css file, but so our template for displaying heroes should now look like this. So in our component TS, we have our template. Let's separate it. Let's get a little messy. Okay. We have a H2, my heroes. We have a UL. Yep, we have all this. Your ID. Yep. Selecting a hero. We have a list of heroes and we have a single hero displayed in our app. The list and the single hero are not connected in any way. We want the user to select a hero from our list and have the selected hero appear in the details view. This UI pattern is widely known as master detail. In our case, the master is the heroes list and the detail is the selected hero. Let's connect the master to the detail through a selected hero component property bound to a click event. Okay, so we modify the li. We have the ng4. Okay, so we're putting a click event on the li. It's inside of a brackets equals on select hero. So when we click, we run a function called onSelect, and we've passed in hero. And then the rest is unchanged. Okay. Focus on the event binding. Click on select hero. The parentheses identify the li element's click event as the target. The expression to the right of the equal sign calls the app component method. So we don't have that method. We'll probably have to write one, unless that's built in. I don't know. Passing the template input variable hero as an argument. Okay, so our event binding refers to an onSelect method that doesn't exist yet. We'll add that to our component now. What should that method do? It should select the component selected hero. It should set the component selected hero to the hero that the user clicked. Our component doesn't have a selected hero yet either. We'll start there. Expose the selected hero. We no longer need the static hero property of the app component. Replace it with this simple selected hero property. Okay, so where was our static hero? This guy here. We no longer need the static hero property of the app component. Replace it with this simple selected hero. I'm not sure if this is what they're referring to, so let's hold off on deleting until I type this out. Hero. Yeah, it must be this, because this was type of capital hero, so now it's selected hero of type capital hero. So we can probably delete this. I'll just comment it for now. We decided that none of the heroes should be selected before the user picks a hero, so we won't initialize the selected hero as we were doing with the hero. Okay, now add an onSelect method that selects the selected hero property to the hero user clicked. Okay, so we're creating this method probably below these variables. onSelect hero with a capital H. Now that because this is TypeScript, this function has to be voided, which is basically just telling the IDE or the TypeScript compiler that this function does not return anything. So this dot selected hero equals hero. This little red line should go away, right? What's it missing? This does not exist on type app component. So I'm doing something wrong here. What's going on here? This selected hero is the typo. Selected hero now matches. That's cool. So without that little IntelliSense, I could have spent forever trying to figure out why that didn't work. That's pretty cool. We will be showing the selected hero's details in our template at the moment. It's still referring to the old hero property. Let's fix our template to bind the new selected hero property. So we're going to go back up to our template. This here, we're going to change the H2 here from hero.name to selected hero.name. And then our ID will be not hero.id, it will be selected capital H hero.id. And then our ng model update here will be also, and everything else the same. Okay, so hide the empty detail with ngIf. Can I view this app already at this point, or is it broken still? Still broken. All right. When our app loads, we see a list of heroes, but a hero is not selected. Okay, wait, maybe I did break something. Reload, save it. Maybe I have a broken something. Selected hero, selected hero, selected hero. Let's go back to the example. What am I missing? Details. Maybe it's this. The selected hero is undefined. That's why we'll see the following error in the browser console. Oh, so is there an error? Let's see. Oh, there's that plunker. That's not my app. This one's my app. Well, we do have errors. The top one is cannot read property name of undefined. Cannot read property name of undefined. Okay, so we're on track. Remember, we are displaying selected hero name in the template. Yep, right here. This name property does not exist because selected hero itself is undefined. And that only gets defined when you click. Okay. We'll address this problem by keeping the hero detail out of the DOM until there is a selected hero. We wrap the HTML hero detail content of our template with a div. So here, we wrap it with a div. And then add an ngIf built-in directive and set it to the selected hero property of our component. Okay, so around here, from here down to the bottom, we're wrapping all that in a div. Okay. Open and close. Yeah. Can I indent in here? Yeah. All right. And then we need to add an ngIf. ngIf equals selected hero. Done. All right. Remember that the leading asterisk in front of ngIf is critical. Yeah, I remembered. There it is. Okay. When there's no selected hero, the ngIf removes the hero detail HTML from the DOM. There will be no hero detail elements and no bindings to worry about. When the user picks a hero, this becomes truthy, and ngIf puts the detail back into the DOM. So ngIf and ngFor are called structural directives because they can change the structure of portions of the DOM. In other words, they give structure to the way Angular displays content in the DOM. Learn more about them, sure. So what happens if I reload? Oh, there's the stuff. If I click on it, there's our details. Nice. So if I reload, nothing's in the DOM. Then we click the onSelected function, populates the property, the ngIf fires here and fills it. Nice. Styling the selection. We see the selected hero in the details area below, but we can't quickly locate the hero in the list above. We can fix that by applying the selected CSS class to the appropriate li. So one of these has to get an appropriate li. Okay. For example, when we select magenta from the heroes list, we can make it pop out visually by giving it a subtle background. Okay. We'll add that property binding on class for the selected class to the template. We'll set this to an expression that compares a current selected hero to the hero. The key is the name of the CSS class selected. The value is true if two heroes match and false otherwise. We're saying apply the selected class if the heroes match, or remove if they don't. So this class.selected will become either this, no, the class will become the class called selected if this is equal to this. So this is our expression. If this is equal to this, then apply this class to it. And this code has to go inside probably the ng, or in the li here probably. Let's see. Notice in the template that the class selected is surrounded by square brackets. Okay. This is a syntax for a property binding, a binding which data flows one way from the data source, the expression here, to a property here. So if we look, that's what they did. They put it at the end. Oh, between here and here. Okay, I'm going to type it out just to get used to it. So class.selected. There's the expression. Hero is equal to selected hero. And that's it. So browser reloads. So yeah, let's inspect that. There it is. This li is getting a class called selected. Cool. So we bounded properties. Okay. Okay, so we selected a different hero and the telltale color switches to that hero. Let's complete this component. Yeah, this is just a recap of everything that we've done. And there's a little recap that says, all right, now we display a list of selectable heroes. We added the ability to select a hero and to show the hero's details, and we learned how to use the ngIf and the ngFor. So the next step, am I up for another chapter? Or should I break and do this tomorrow? That's not too long. Let's do it. Multiple components. We refactor the master detail view into separate components. So yeah, that's important. Our app is growing. Use cases are flowing in for reusing components, passing data to components, and creating more reusable assets. Let's separate the heroes list from the heroes details and make the details component reusable. Run the live example for this part. Okay, let's run it. Looks like they've already separated into a hero detail component and the other component. This is the master list, and there's a details component. Two parts. Before we continue, let's verify we have, okay, we already know we did all this. Keep the app transpiling and running. We did that already, it's still running. Making a hero detail component. Our heroes list and our hero details are in the same component in the same file, but they're small now, but they could each grow. We are sure to receive new requirements for one and not the other. Yet every change puts both components at risk and doubles the testing burden without benefit. If we had to reuse the hero details elsewhere in our app, the heroes list would tag along for the ride. Our current component violates the single responsibility principle. Where's this link going to? Somebody made that principle. Okay. It's only a tutorial, but we can still do things right, especially if doing them right is easy and we learn how to build Angular apps in the process. Let's break this details out into its own component. So, add a new file named hero detail component ts to the app. So in here, new file, call it hero-detail.component.ts. And create the component like this. So we need the standard import from Angular at the top. Is this different than the other one? Let me see. Here we imported just component from Angular core, but now this new one also imports input. Not sure why, but we will learn why later. Then we have the @component decorator. So now we need a selector, my hero detail. Why is there a comma if it's the only one? I'll leave it out. Oh, but it's complaining. Declaration. Okay. It just wants this. Export class hero detail component. So these are all capital. Save it. No errors, no complaints. Good. Naming conventions. We like to identify at a glance which classes are components and which files contain components. Notice that we have an app component in a file named appcomponent.ts, and our new hero detail component is in a file called hero-detail.component. Okay. So okay. All of our component names end in component. All of our component file names end in .component. We spell our file names in lower dash case. Kebab case. I'm not used to reusing kebab case. I use like camel case, so it's kind of weird seeing kebab case, but I guess that's just an Angular thing. We begin by importing the component and the input decorators. Okay, that's up here, because we're going to need them soon. We create metadata with the component, where we specify the selector name, which we did. Then we export the class here to make it available to other components. So everything we put in here will be visible to another component eventually. When we finish here, we'll import it into app component. Okay.